The beauty of the Cheshire village of Lower Peover cannot be underestimated, with its chocolate box cottages, its wonderful old pub and stunning church with its roots dating back to early medieval times. The beautiful church of St Oswald stands side by side with what was once known as the Warranty Tabley pub, but now known today as the Bells of Peaver. Welcome to Rambles Through History. Lower Peover stands approximately 6 miles east of Northwich and 4 miles south of Knutsford. A popular destination for locals and tourists, Lower Peover is like taking a walk back in time. Now those of you who may have visited Lower Peover in the past are well aware of the pub and of course the church, but the village has many more interesting buildings, and here on Rambles Through History today I'm going to take you around and show you just what lies beyond the church. It's here in the village where behind me we find the primary school, which stands close to School House. Now this primary school is a trust primary school and it's under the trust of deed of Richard Comberbach. Now Richard Comberbach was born in Latchford near Lymm in the year 1644, and Richard was the son of a gentleman. In the year 1665, Richard went to Cambridge University, and by 1687 he'd become the curate of St Oswald's here in Lower Peover. Richard was a staunch supporter of the Royalist Stuart monarchy, and following the Revolution of 1688 he resigned his position here at St Oswald's. But Richard was to remain in the area and he became a farmer. However, his lifetime ambition was to found his own school within the village. It was in 1709, along with financial help from his wife, that Richard built the school, and in 1710 the doors opened for the first time. Now it's in the building behind me that Richard Comberbach and his wife Margaret taught the children. Also the first master was a John Mears, and his body lies in the graveyard close to a large yew tree. Standing here today, I can almost imagine Margaret and Richard teaching those children, and John Mears, the master, keeping them in their place. No doubt behind me, as well as the school, much of the cobbled area was used by the children. As I mentioned earlier, John Mears, schoolmaster, was buried in this churchyard in the year 1734, and I finally managed to track down his grave. But what a simple gravestone, and it just reads John Mears, schoolmaster, buried here 1734. Now a church has stood on this site since at least the year 1269, when it was once an Ease's chapel for nearby Great Budworth. By the 16th century, this small church had increased vastly in size, measuring 80 feet east to west and 40 feet wide. Now when Henry VIII brought about the dissolution of the monasteries, it was Norton Priory that stood nearby that was to close. Norton Priory supported St Oswald's financially, and it was a disaster when this financial help was to disappear. But however, one Sir Robert Lester was to donate £30 a year to them in support of the church. Now the tower that you see here behind me at St Oswald's is interesting in the fact that it's surmounted by 4 gargoyles, all wonderful spouts carved in stone and possibly some of the finest across Cheshire. Now it's here in the churchyard, and mounted on top of an old medieval cross base we find a bronze sundial. The sundial inscribed to John Hasselhurst and dated to 1691. Now buried behind me under the large Celtic cross is the body of John Byrne Leicester Warren, who was the last Lord de Tabley. He was also a Cheshire poet and a botanist. Also here in the churchyard can be found some curious epitaphs, such as John Simpson, died 1852, a brave butcher in his day. Mary and James Barlow, died 1801, parents of 12 children with 77 grandchildren, 137 people in the space of 58 years. The first churchwarden's book here includes an entry dated 1698, and it reads: "The fabric was first erected in the reign of King Henry III, and at that time dedicated to one St Oswald, whose feast of dedication, commonly called the Wakes, was held yearly on the 5th day of August throughout the parish." Now the clock we see today in the tower here at St Oswald's was first installed in 1897, replacing a much earlier one. This was commemorated with a stone being placed in the porchway of the tower, commemorating the event for posterity. Now I find places such as St Oswald's as a time capsule frozen in time. The amount of history here is phenomenal, and every visit reveals something new. Now the bell tower here at St Oswald's contains 6 bells, first cast and hung in 1853. However, they were recast and rehung in 1911 in memory of the vicar who was here between 1877 and 1911. Well, I hope you've enjoyed your visit here today to St Oswald's Church in Lower Peover and see for yourself the ancient churchyard and of course the school buildings dating back to 1710. It's lovely to hear those children in the background even today at the new school. It just reminds you how history rarely changes. The importance of the history of St Oswald's here in Lower Peover can't be overstated, and I myself find it a treasure trove of historical facts. Join me again soon as we take you on yet another ramble through history.